Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Will the media help President Obama in the last 2 weeks of the campaign? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. It is widely believed the national media want President Obama to win the election, and when it comes to influence, it is the TV news operations that have it. Newspapers mean little on the national level, and the internet is balkanized, so it is television that continues to bind the nation. So let's run down the players. Diane Sawyer, the anchor of ABC's World News Tonight. Early in her career, she worked for Richard Nixon, actually helped him write his memoirs. Ms. Sawyer has no registered political affiliation, has given no money to political parties. Brian Williams anchors the NBC Nightly News. As a young man, he was an intern in the Carter administration. He has no registered political affiliation. We could find no political donations given by Mr. Williams. However, he has said negative things about conservatives on a few occasions, including telling David Letterman, quote, "You can't say something shocking enough in some of these conservative crowds," unquote. Scott Pelley, the anchor of the CBS Evening News, has no registered political affiliation and has given no donations. Mr. Pelley is a cautious journalist who has played it pretty straight. Anderson Cooper, an anchorman on CNN. 2004, he registered as a Democrat. He has criticized the Tea Party, saying, quote, "Tea Party protesters and other voices are front and center, driving moderates out of the GOP," unquote. Piers Morgan, another host on CNN. He's a British subject and has fiercely criticized Mitt Romney. Mr. Morgan is a liberal man who has openly supported politicians like Bill Clinton. Wolf Blitzer also holds court on CNN. He is not registered with any political party and has not given any donations. Mr. Blitzer was extremely complimentary of Michelle Obama's speech at the Democratic National Convention and has criticized conservatives. In 2009, Mr. Blitzer suggested that the Tea Party is racist, saying, quote, "Most disturbing is a very small but vocal minority targeting President Obama's race," unquote. Charlie Rose, the co-host of CBS This Morning. In 1990, he was a registered Democrat. We can find no political donation made by Mr. Rose. Interview with President Obama on July 12th of this year, Mr. Rose said, quote, "You have enormously successful health care legislation because the Supreme Court did not declare it unconstitutional. That is your proudest achievement in the first 4 years," unquote. Matt Lauer, co-host of the Today Show. He's not registered with any political party. We can find no political donations. In an interview with the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, Mr. Lauer asked this question, quote, "What is the evidence that you can present that the tax cuts of the Bush era have actually accomplished their goals?" While a legitimate question, some believe Mr. Lauer tilts left. George Stephanopoulos, co-host of Good Morning America, is a registered Democrat and worked as President Clinton's senior advisor. Although Mr. Stephanopoulos remains a traditional Democrat, he does not often promote party politics on his program. So there it is, the roster of national news people delivering campaign information. Talking Points believes there is not one Republican among that group. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight. Reaction with us, the co-host of The Five, Bob Beckel. So that doesn't surprise you, does it?
I've been hearing this for 30 years. All I can say is the Republicans, they want to get some people to enroll in journalism school, and maybe they'll have an opportunity to get themselves in some of these high positions. It's a ridiculous argument. We've been hearing it over.
So wait, let me just stop you. So you believe that there are no conservative or Republican journalists qualified to do that kind of work. Is that what you're saying?
I'd say you were qualified to do that kind of work.
But I'm not a Republican or a conservative. I'm an independent
You're an independent. Spins. Okay. Then I think, look, there are a lot more outlets.
You're dodging my question.
What?
Do you believe there are no Republicans or conservative journalists that are qualified to hold those positions?
Oh, I certainly think there are, sure. Okay. But I don't care if they're not.
Why don't you care? Don't you think there should be?
I don't think it matters. I don't think it sends the news one way or another. I mean, I just don't.
So if all of the network anchors were Republican conservatives, it wouldn't bother you?
Oh, I'd be complaining about it all the time.
Well,
I mean, just like the Republicans complain about. Well, that's the point.
You're making my point.
Yeah, but they had to be there. They got hired. They went up and worked their way up the ranks for the most part, and they got their jobs.
And wait a minute. They didn't work their way up the ranks, with all due respect to most of them. They were appointed to that position. That is a subjective position. I worked in network news, and I know that promotions were given to people based upon their political leanings and based upon how they conducted themselves in the politically correct atmosphere in which they work.
You're suggesting these people got their jobs because they were liberal Democrats? If so, you've got the greatest lawsuit going in the history of mankind.
There's no lawsuit there because you can't prove it. I will suggest to you, and I know it's true, that some of the people that are promoted at the network level are promoted because of political correctness. Absolutely, that is the case.
Well, if you can believe that that's absolutely the case.
Wait a minute. We just documented to you every single one of those people being liberal or a Democrat. except for Scott Pelley. I honestly can't say what Scott Pelley is. But we've just documented that to you. Do you think that's a coincidence?
Do I think it's a coincidence?
Yeah.
Do I think the pool of people that they pick from are overwhelmingly Democrats? Sure.
Okay.
But what difference does it make?
Well, wait a minute. Your contention is it doesn't make a difference.
I don't think it makes a difference at all.
Okay, but my contention is it does,
well,
and I
know
worked
it
there.
I know you worked there.
And so did Bernie Goldberg.
Yeah.
And he says the same thing.
Yeah.
That let me give you an example. The Libya story. If it were George W. Bush who did what the Obama administration did, this story would have gotten twice as much airtime on the network TV as it has under President Obama.
You say, every time I hear these examples about Obama getting good coverage, if it was George W. Bush, it would have been the following. How do you know it would have been the following? Because this issue of Libya is much ado, not about nothing.
All right.
People lost their lives.
You asked a good question, Beckel. Once in a while you do that. Not often.
Once in a while, that's
How do
correct.
I know? How do I know that? Okay. Can I give you the answer to that question?
Yeah, please.
What happened right after the assassination of Mr. Stevens in Benghazi? What did President Obama do? What did he do?
He made a bad tactical political decision and went to Las Vegas.
Correct. What happened right after Andrew Card whispered into President Bush's ear in Tampa, Florida, in a classroom full of children while he was reading a book? What happened?
He stayed and finished reading the book.
And what happened then? What did the press
He got
do?
a little bit of heat over that, but did he not get... Did he not get...
Wait. A little bit of heat?
Wait a second. That one incident, but he got enormous
No. All right. So compare and contrast. This is how you come to logical conclusions, Beckel. You have a situation where President Bush reacted one way in Tampa and got murdered for it. You have another situation where President Obama reacted a way after the Benghazi murders, and the coverage was maybe 20% of what the Bush coverage was.
George Bush's coverage over 9/11 got him to 90% in the polls. I mean,
no. But that was immediately after. How he reacted after.
What is he going to do? Is he talking to a bunch of little kids? He's going to jump up, be scared, and run out of the room and scare the hell out of everybody?
You're saying what I said, but I'm telling you that the network news covered it entirely differently. I know, you're stupefying because my argument is
don't say
absolutely
O'Reilly, don't say I'm stupefied. What stupefies me is sometimes
you want me to replay the facial expression you just
What
had?
Stupefies me is some things you say. That's what stupefies me, okay?
Right. I know you're just amazed at my wisdom, but I just gave you a rock-solid comparison.
It just drives me...
Right.
I mean,
so you, Bob Beckel, all right, co-host of The Five, ladies and gentlemen, you don't believe that there's any tilt at all by the national television networks toward Barack Obama?
Of course there is.
All right.
So now you're stupefied, aren't you?
Now you just made my point.
You're stupefied.
What are you arguing with me for then?
You had me on the show. I didn't ask to come on here. You asked me to come on.
I didn't ask you to argue with me. You could agree with me.
You don't want anybody to argue with you. That's the point. Usually get people on here who get stupefied the whole time. I don't get stupefied the whole time.
You're agreeing with me, but you're arguing with me anyway.
I'll argue with you anyway because I've heard this argument over and over again, and there's things they can do to do something about it. And there's a lot more outlets now. There's more places to go to get information. And the idea that they make decision makers of a national election is just silly.
We got to take a break, but in the break, I want you to take your TiVo and go back and look at Beckel's expression during this interview.
And I want you to go back and look at his expression when I said stupid.
Bob Beckel, everybody. Next on A Rundown, President